Hello everyone and welcome to WhiskyWars. Today we have a blended war on the channel. Two Scotches, both bottled at 40%. We have the Monkey Shoulder, one of the most famous blends of Scotland of all time really. It gets a lot of hype and therefore it's not the cheapest whiskey to buy anymore. And then we have the Smokey Monkey. Now this whiskey came out later after the Monkey Shoulder did, and it's basically going to be its peated counterpart. So unpeated versus peated. As you can see, the bottle design, I think they're great. I think they look really, really cool. That's why a lot of bars stock them. And a lot of cocktail places, you will be able to find the Monkey Shoulder. The marketing's great, they look fantastic. But they're not the cheapest blend that you can buy. But that's not the review today. The review today is Monkey Shoulder versus Smokey Monkey. If you're excited for the video, please can you leave a like down below, and please can you click subscribe on the channel as well. That really helps the channel grow and shows YouTube that my reviews aren't nonsense and there are some people that actually would like to watch them. I know there's one of my viewers from Sweden who is looking forward to seeing this review, especially this whiskey right here. So that's why we're doing this whiskey today, this war today. So let's get straight into it. So the Monkey Shoulder gets a lot of hype. I think if you can pick this whiskey up on a good deal, and I would say anything below, I'd say if you could pick it up for around £23 or less, I think it's worth buying. I really do. But you can find this £30–35 and I won't go near it at that price. So you're getting a little bit of malt on the nose. It's quite subtle, it's sweet. Vanilla and lemon on the nose. A little bit of like a grass-like quality as well. Now, this blend was meant to contain 3 quite famous malts. I think Balvenie is one of them. However, I think that was a long time ago. I don't believe the new Monkey Shoulder has that blend of those 3 malts that you might think anymore. As with a lot of whiskies, I'm noticing, certainly with Laphroaig, I posted that video recently, in the last month or so, and Laphroaig was one of my favourite distilleries in Scotland. I just adore it. And I recently rebought the quarter cask and the 10-year, and they tasted different than before and a little bit more sweet. And I wasn't sure if that was just my mind playing tricks on me, but the increase in demand of whiskey since lockdown, since the pandemic, I really do feel like in order to meet demand, they're reducing the quality a little bit. And it wouldn't surprise me if Monkey Shoulder did change that blend of those 3 malts to something a little bit of a lower quality. I say you're not really going to get much more than that. Vanilla cream with a little bit of a grass-like quality and malty, and that's about it. To be honest with you, it's non-offensive. I see why people recommend this to beginners. I personally wouldn't though. So moving on to the Smokey Monkey, it's so hard to compare the two because that peat is, well, it is far stronger than what I was thinking it was going to be. It really is. They're just completely different. I get a much stronger malt quality on this whiskey with that peat. And it comes across with a little bit of like a buttered popcorn. Almost like a, not really a toffee, like a butterscotch Werther's Original sort of sweetness. Any sort of Isla peat or Island peat. This is very much going to be probably a Speyside Highland peat. So there's going to be none of those forest coastal notes. It's not going to be dirty of a whiskey. It's going to be peated, yes. Mainly smoky. And it's a good name really, Smokey Monkey. It is quite apt. However, I thought the smoke would be toned down a bit and it would be a lightly smoked Monkey Shoulder. And I think that would have been a better comparison if they'd have done that, to be honest with you. The nose difference is stark. This is a punchy nose. 40%, I'm getting much more flavour here. There's much more going on than on the Monkey Shoulder. But it's not terribly complex. It's strong, but it's simple and strong. Let's start with the taste. Monkey Shoulder first. Lemon, vanilla, oats. So it's sweet, but it's also quite sharp as well. I get quite a strong ethanol note in there. The finish isn't too long either. It's quite sharp. Not complex. It's just a whiskey that doesn't excite me at all. I also feel like even though it's 40% and non-offensive, it's probably a whiskey that could give me heartburn. Onto the Smoky Monkey. That peat reduces that ethanol quality for me. Although you can tell it's still there, but it's not as present on the taste. It feels a bit more rich because that Werther's original sweetness is coming through with that smoke. The finish is also relatively short, which is strange for a peated whiskey. Normally when it's peated, the finish can be a lot longer than its unpeated counterpart. I suppose it is still, because this is short and this is short to medium. So it's a little bit longer on the finish. They are very different though. I'd say if you like the Monkey Shoulder, it doesn't mean you're going to like the Smoky Monkey. But I would also say, if you don't like the Monkey Shoulder, but you like smoky whiskies, peated scotches, maybe you like, I think a good review in the future could be this against maybe the Black Bottle. That's another blended peated Scotch that's very affordable. This I wouldn't say is as affordable at all. So the price on this whiskey, I see it quite often for around £35. I picked it up for 26 on an offer. I would say at the £26 mark, I don't regret the purchase. But I know with the Black Bottle, they have an Alchemy series where their whiskies are proofed at 46%. So 6% stronger than this one. And they do seem to taste a little bit better on the taste for me. A bit more interesting for around the same price. So it's a tough one. That's for another day anyway. The review today is these two. I think you can probably tell with how I'm speaking and my body language, I'm not blown away by either of these two whiskies. That being said, on offer they both cost me around £25 each. I would say do not pay full price, full retail for these two whiskies. I think they're priced higher because of their marketing. The bottles look cool. They're in a lot of bars. You probably, if you're ordering a cocktail in a bar, Monkey Shoulder is probably one of the ingredients shown. And so they've developed quite a reputation, especially this one as a starter whiskey for people, which I don't quite buy into, to be honest with you. I think there's better whiskies out there for less money. And so for me, I wouldn't recommend the purchase of either whiskey. That being said, if you're not a huge whiskey drinker and you're more into cocktails, I recommend both of them. They're both good in cocktails and they both look really, really good on display. I mean, the bottle is lovely. I've just started to get a mint quality coming through on the Smoky Monkey. Now, that's really interesting for me because when I see a lot of times a whiskey is said to have mint in the taste, for me it always comes across as menthol, and I don't like menthol. I like mint, I don't like menthol. for me, this was mint. It's one of those rare cases where I do get mint. That was quite nice actually. I've not had that before coming through. That was really nice. There is a clear favourite for me out of the two. There's no doubt about it. The Smoky Monkey has... I don't think it's more complex than the Monkey Shoulder. I can probably list 3 or 4 notes for either whiskey that you're really going to pick up on. Not much more. So the simple whiskies, I don't really recommend the Monkey Shoulder. As for the Smoky Monkey, unless you're having cocktails and bartending, I wouldn't recommend these whiskies. In fact, for bartending, I would also go for different whiskies, but they do look the part. Smoky, and more smoke than I was expecting, and I give it credit for that. I do like the amount of smoke they've put into this whiskey. And I like the peat used. It's not a forest-like coastal peat. You're not going to get any iodine qualities. No earthy qualities coming through. The peat really just gives it a smoky essence to it, but it is very smoky. Smoky, sweet, and also relatively unoffensive. I would say, do you know what actually, I'm going to cut the Smoky Monkey a bit of slack here. I'm going to say, if you know a Scotch drinker who hasn't really ventured into smoky whiskies or peated whiskies, I actually think this is a good introductory whiskey. I think if someone's had an Islay before and it scared them off, I think give it another try and go for the Smoky Monkey. And it's just going to give you a different experience to it that maybe is sort of like a bridge between unpeated Scotch and Island, or peated Island and peated Islay whiskies. So I think it could be used as a bit of a tool as a whiskey. For me, I wouldn't say race out to the shelves to buy either. I wouldn't recommend it if you already like peated whiskey, or you're already a seasoned Scotch drinker. I certainly wouldn't be saying shoot for these whiskies. They're simple, but they're non-offensive. So thank you all for watching. I hope this video shed some light on the Monkey Shoulder and the Smoky Monkey. I know for me, the Smoky Monkey evaded me for quite a few years. After having this, I always wanted to buy this. But yeah, don't go expecting miracles in the bottle. They're not that type of whiskey. But if you go in with relatively lower expectations, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I think more so with the Smoky Monkey. It's not a terrible whiskey, but I think only buy either if you can see them on offer, a good offer. I hope it helps. If it does, please leave a like down below, and please consider clicking the subscribe button down below. It really helps the channel out. Thank you so much for watching this Whiskey War, and I hope to see you all for the next Whiskey War.